Hello, cheers everyone. It's been a while. Welcome back to the Diamond Mine. Haven't done one of these band discography rankings in quite some time. Really excited today to share with you my thoughts on a band near and dear to my heart, America's own progressive rock titans, Kansas. So there is a lengthy discography here. We've got 16 albums to go through. I'm going to jump right in the interest of time. We're going to start with, as we usually go from my least favorite to my favorite, and we're going to do that today. So starting here at number 16, we've got In the Spirit of Things from 1988. Not a bad album per se. Just I feel as though the band was being pressured to, and you read interviews from people like the great Steve Morse. There was label pressure to fit MTV, and so it made a band that didn't much sound like Kansas. Sounded maybe more like an AOR related band, a little bit more generic. It was the last of two albums with the aforementioned guitar great Steve Morse. I'll call my highlight, my top track for this album was House on Fire. Moving on, number 15, from the year 2000, Somewhere to Elsewhere. Couple of highlights here. Icarus 2, which was sort of a sequel to a previous highlight in the band's discography. We'll talk more about that when we get to that album. Also, When the World Was Young. Now, this is the last album to feature the vocals of the great Steve Walsh, who stayed with the band for a while before retiring, but this just happens to be the last studio effort with him prior to his retirement. I would say its biggest crime is it's perhaps a bit dull after some high expectations. It didn't quite meet my expectations. Still some high quality material, as there always is on a Kansas album, to be found here. At number 14, I'm going to put Always Never the Same. Now this does feature. This came out in 1998. It features an Eleanor Rigby cover, so I'm going to call that the highlight. Other than that, it was a collaboration on classic Kansas material with the London Symphony Orchestra. So it almost doesn't even count in the discography as a studio album, since it really doesn't feature any new original material, but I still included it in this ranking as a matter of interest. So moving on, at number 13, we come to Mask, which came out in 1975. Now, the highlight here, we'd have already brought it up, Icarus, Born on Wings of Steel. Now, the album opens with more of a boogie feel than their pseudo-classical that they became known for. It was they were kind of right on the precipice of major success, and we'll be getting to that as we head towards the top two selections from the discography. At number 12, that's where I'm going to put the debut from 1974, 1974's Kansas, self-titled. Can I Tell You, I would put that as the main highlight here from this release. Mediocre production does mar the quality of the album, but good songs with very spirited performances here. So Kansas from 1974 comes in at number 12. At number 11, Monolith from 1979. People of the South Wind is a really great song off of this album. Perhaps the songwriting well had run a little bit dry after back-to-back masterpieces that preceded this album in the form of Point of No Return and Left Overture. Still a very, very entertaining and worthwhile listen, Monolith from 1979. Number 10 is where I'm going to put the Prelude Implicit, which came out in 2016. My highlight tracks are The Unsung Heroes and Rhythm in the Spirit. This was the first record with their current singer, Ronnie Platt. I had low expectations when I had learned of its release because there was some controversy caused by rumors of live show auto-tuning. So those low expectations were far exceeded. This is actually a really good record here, the Prelude Implicit. Now, the next two releases have a pretty wide base of fans. I just think that the two releases are not particularly true to the original sound of Kansas. That said, I do enjoy them a good bit. Number 9 is where I'm going to put Drastic Measures from 1983. My top tracks would be the two singles, Fight Fire with Fire and Everybody's My Friend. Still enjoy that video a good bit, as cheesy and dated as it is. The violin was sorely missed here. This was the first of several records to not have any violin on it. And that is just such a key component of the Kansas sound. I do think that the record suffered from that. But there are some really good songs with surprising and daring subject matter, most notably on Andy. The usual excellent vocals were there from Steve Walsh, near sound alike John Elefante, and this was his last album with the band. So at number 8, I'm going to put the first album with Elefante, Vinyl Confessions from 1982. One of my favorite songs from the entire discography, Play the Game Tonight, is going to be my highlight from this record. So this was the first album without Steve Walsh on lead vocals, who did come back to the band later on in their career. But strong themes of faith throughout that also wound up leading to Robbie Steinhardt, the then violinist for the band's exit. So Kansas Vinyl Confessions from 1982 comes in at number 8. At number 7, I'm going to put Power from 1986. This is the first album of 2 to feature Steve Morse on guitar. Steve Morse, just a beast of a guitarist, one of my favorites. Silhouettes in Disguise is a guitar extravaganza via the then newbie to the band. Speaking of tour de force, Can't Cry Anymore is a vocal tour de force from Steve Walsh. So 1986's Power ranks high in the discography for me, much better than the other Steve Morse release in the spirit of things, in my opinion. But there, you can actually dig online, and there's a healthy debate about those two albums. They are not without their fans. So at number 6, I'm going to put Freaks of Nature, which came out in 1995. I was all over this record when it came out 26 years ago. Love all the tracks, but my 2 main highlights are going to be I Can Fly and Hope Once Again. The more than welcome return of the violin, courtesy of David Ragsdale, as well as classic era production from Jeff Glicksman, who came back to man the boards, having been with the band for album releases like Song for America, Mask, Left Overture, and Point of No Return. So basically the producer from the classic era of the band returned to produce this excellent album, Freaks of Nature, from 1995, which I'm putting at number 6. Now, it is a very good time to be a Kansas fan, in my opinion. At number 5, this album just knocked my socks off last year. The Absence of Presence. It really seemed to come out of nowhere. There was very little fanfare about its release. I just kind of stumbled across it one day on Apple Music and gave it a listen, and it still blows me away with each listen. The excellent title track, The Absence of Presence, and Jets Overhead are going to be my picks for top tracks. Surprisingly great. The current lineup finds assured footing on this album, to be sure. So if you have not listened to this yet, I highly recommend it. The Absence of Presence from 2020. Okay, we're getting near the end here. Number 4, Audio Visions from 1980. No One Together and Hold On were both tracks that wound up on the Best of Kansas release a few years later, and with good reason. Really excellent album. The song "Hold On" contains one of my favorite guitar leads within the Kansas catalog. So at number 4, Audio Visions from 1980. So we are really getting towards the hallowed ground here. At number 3, I'm going to put Song for America. Now, this album is fantastic throughout, but I may consider the title track my very favorite Kansas composition ever. Song for America is just, it's majestic. It's a marvelous composition. It combines kind of that hard rock sound with really neoclassical themes. Just an excellent, excellent composition. So Song for America comes in at number 3. Now, Left Overture is number 2. Total masterpiece. The obvious highlights are Carry On Wayward Son and Epic The Wall, but one of those perfect rock records of the 1970s. Left Overture, absolute masterpiece. Can't say enough positive things about this wonderful album. Totally recommend that you delve into it if you never have. And then at number 1, edging out Left Overture by the slimmest of margins, another just total and perfect masterpiece, Point of No Return. Point of No Return, total perfect masterpiece, as I say. The title track, Point of No Return, Portrait He Knew, Lightning's Hand, and of course the sublime Dust in the Wind are just some of the highlights I'm going to mention. Really, the entire record is just a fantastic listen. Get it out this afternoon and enjoy it. So, 16 albums in about 12 and a half minutes. And I had a great time. Hope you did. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are going to get the Diamond Mine going again here in 2021. Cheers and good health.